Hi, welcome back. Certainly glad you could join us today. I thought today we'd just do a little painting that's very easy, a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. So let's start out and have them run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us. While they're doing that, let me show you what I got done today. I have a little preparatory work already done, but this is very simple. You'll have no problem doing it. I've taken, it's plain old canvas, and a little bit of black and gray gesso, and I'm just using a foam brush, a disposable foam brush. I've just painted in a basic little shape of some mountains. And this one has more gray in it than this one does, so it looks a little farther away. Then we've allowed the gesso here to dry completely. After it was completely dry, then I've covered the entire canvas with a very, very thin coat of liquid clear. And once again, it's a thin coat. Probably because it's transparent, the biggest mistake made is putting too much on. I recommend you put on the thinnest coat you can and take a paper towel maybe and wipe it. What's left will be just right. This liquid clear is fantastic. It does wonderful things. I'll show you. You take the gesso and the clear and combine them. Oh, it makes your painting world so much easier. Let's take a little bit of the phthalo blue. I love phthalo blue. It's a beautiful color. Let's go right up here at the very tippy top. And we're just going to start out today and make little crisscross strokes, little X's. Just little X's, like so. The clear that's on the canvas makes it very slick. It allows the paint to actually blend right up on the canvas. There. And the black and the gray gesso will put our background in with very little work, and it'll be gorgeous. These colored gessos is one of the neatest things we've ever come up with. It's almost become a standard now in the painting industry. There we are. Just like so. I want this guy to be a little darker on the top than it is right here when he reaches the mountain. Just a little darker. And by starting at the top, making little crisscross strokes and working downward in layers, each time going across and coming down a little lower, it'll get lighter automatically because you just use up the paint that's on the brush. All right. Now to make it even darker in the corners, because I want to make it dark on the corners so it makes your eye go toward the center of the canvas, I'm going to take Prussian blue, just a little on the 2-inch brush. Prussian blue is much stronger. Ooh, really strong. Let's go back up here. Now I'm going to add a little of it right into the corners, just to make it dark. It's a beautiful, beautiful blue. There. Okay, I'll add a little more. We'll do the other corner. About like that. Okay, and we'll just let that blend right on down till you can't tell where one color stops, next color starts. There we are. While we have that old blue going, I'm just going to take a little more of the phthalo blue, a little Prussian blue. It doesn't matter. And I'm just going to cover this part where it has gesso on it with a very thin coat. Very thin coat of blue. Something about like that. And we really don't have to even worry about it. Just paint right over it. There. So there's a very, very thin coat of blue over the entire area here that we have the gesso on. Okay, now the fun part of this whole painting procedure. Let's wash the brush, heck. That's the only reason I do this, so I can wash the brush. It's where you take out all your frustrations and hostilities. Shake off the excess. And just really beat the devil out of it. One thing, when you're working with clear, be sure your brush is as dry as you can possibly get it. I recommend you wipe it on a paper towel like I just did. After you really beat it severely, I'm going to take a little bit of titanium white, and I'm just adding some to one corner. See, it's mainly on one corner. Okay, let's go up in here. In my world, I think today we'll have, maybe the sun's right here, and it's very bright, and it's just burning right through there. Gotta make those little noises, there. But I want this to be very bright. Sometimes when I look at the sun coming through, it is so bright you can it almost washes out all the detail. And that's exactly what I want it to do. Titanium white is very opaque, but if you get it thin enough on the canvas, it's still transparent enough that you can make out basic shape, and that's really all I'm looking for. So I want it to look like that sun's just burning through that valley, coming right through here. Like so. There. Now you can do this several times if you want to achieve a desired lightness or brightness in your painting. Strictly and completely up to you. You make the decision. You make the decision. Totally up to you. Maybe just a little touch more of that white right there. I want a nice eye burner right there. Something that'll just sparkle. All right, so you can still make out that there's mountains back there. That's why we did them with the gesso. We really don't care. We're just looking for a little shape that just zings through there. Okay, that's about all I'm going to do for little mountains. That easy. The gesso has opened a lot of doors, the colored gessos. Once again, it makes painting so much easier. You can create illusions that before were very difficult. A little sap green, a little yellow, using cad yellow, yellow ochre, and a little Indian yellow here and there. And I mix these on the brush, because that way you have a variety of things happening on the brush. I'm going to get a little more green. I want it a little darker. Ooh, I like it. Sap green's gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah. Push. Okay, let's go up in here. We got to make some big decisions in our world, maybe. And all we're going to do is just touch the canvas and begin thinking about maybe there's a little grassy meadow that lives way back in here somewhere. And it just, some of that grass just gently, gently goes up the side of the mountain. Very lightly. Just want it to disappear back here in that strong light. Disappear. Quiet, gentle, peaceful little place. And the more you tap this, the more it's going to pick up the color that's underneath, the blue that we put on. And it'll get darker and darker automatically. Let the canvas work. Shoot, this is a lazy man's way of painting, but it works. Anybody can do this. Anybody. I get letters every day from youngsters in their 90s that tell me that they're doing paintings that friends and neighbors, relatives, they don't even believe possible. And you can do it too. You really can. Really can. All you need to do is believe that you can, practice a little bit, and let your imagination take you to any world that you want to go to. There. Very, very soft, very gentle. Okay, maybe over in here, I'll add a little more sap green. Ooh, just like that green color. Now I paint a little brighter for television than I normally would at home. When you're painting, you decide if you want it to be more subdued or brighter. It's up to you. Painting is an individual thing. Each of us see nature through different eyes, and your perception of nature is exactly what you should paint. There. Isn't it wonderful that we do? It'd be terrible if we all saw exactly the same thing. God was very smart when he gave us individual personalities. There. Or at least I think so, because I like being different. All right. Now then, as I say, the more you tap this, the more subdued it will become. It's totally up to you. And you create the lay of the land. You have to sort of make decisions here, how you want the land to flow. Take a clean, dry brush, and I'm just going to tap this a little bit. I want it to pick up some of that color that's underneath and soften it even more. Even more. Until it just basically just blends out on the edges. There. All right. Isn't that fantastic? And you can do it. You can do it. I know you can. I know you can. And if I know you can, you certainly know. There. Okay. Maybe. I know. Let's take a little Van Dyke brown, a little dark sienna mixed with it. On the little old fan brush. I'm using number 6 fan brush today. Number 3 would work just as well. Whichever one you have, it's okay. And maybe in our world, way back in here, we can see the indication. Maybe there's a little path, little road, whatever you want to call it, that just goes way back in there somewhere. Works forward and forward, forward. Let it get larger, wider as it comes forward. There. Now, without even cleaning that brush, I'm going to pick up a little bit of the titanium white, just a small amount, and just mix it right on there so I have a little bit lighter color. And with that, we'll just graze it. Just graze it. Just graze it. Don't cover up everything. Just here and there. Just graze it. That's about all we want. Just to give the indication of a few little highlights there and there. And we can take our brush that has a little grass color in here and there, put in, see how it pushed that little thing back? Sneaky, huh? And here, that's all there is to it. There, that creates depth in your painting. Fantastic. Let's find a knife. I'm gonna mix up a very dark color. Black, Prussian blue. Whew. Put some crimson in it. And maybe even a little bit of our sap green. Black, Prussian blue, crimson, and sap green. Very dark. In your palette, let me wipe the knife. On your palette, it should look absolutely black. Very dark. Very dark. Load a little bit into a 2-inch brush. And maybe let's work on the foreground. Maybe there's a little place right there. You decide. There it is. We'll let that, yeah, okay. Sort of look at your path here. That's what I'm going to do. That little path comes around. There. I'm just putting some dark in for the edges. In here, it don't much matter because you have the dark underneath. Doesn't much matter. I just want to create nice, firm edges. See, already it looks like you can see back in there 1,000 miles. Isn't that sneaky? Darken that a little bit so it fades right in while I have it dark on the brush. Because we don't want to see where this ends. We just want it to blend right out into nothing. There. Okay. Now, back to the little brush I was using to put the highlight, the grassy colors on. We'll load it up. I want this to be darker. I'm going to reach up in here, be right back, get a little black. Black and yellow, make a beautiful green color. Push that brush, get a little ridge of paint. See it right there? So that's what you're after. Now with that, let's go up in here. And I don't want this to be as bright as what's in the background. I think I'll put some big trees in here. So maybe this is in shadow. And we begin picking out little individual things. If you have any trouble at all making the paint stick, add the least little touch of paint thinner. Just dip the tips of your bristles into a little paint thinner. And then go back through your color. Now, add a little yellow ochre just to change the flavor. Just maybe that comes on out there. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Just to change the flavor a little bit. All right. And when you're at home and have unlimited time, you can tap, tap, tap on this until it just blends together and it's gorgeous. You can make beautiful grassy areas that are as soft looking as velvet. There. Okay. Think about the lay of the land, the way the land flows. It's most important. Give direction. Give direction to your land. There we are. All right. But isn't that neat how you can take a big old brush that you normally paint the house with and shoot, you can just put all kinds of gorgeous little details in here. And it really makes painting accessible to everyone. To everyone. When I was a traditional painter, I used to watch with admiration some of these fantastic traditional painters. But they had spent 50 years of their life or more, or whatever, learning their craft. And I couldn't do it without years and years of practice. This is so fantastic because you can do it without spending half your life practicing. People who take classes with our instructors, they find on the very first day, they go home with a completed painting. Even people who have never painted. Isn't that fantastic? Brighten that a little bit right there. That's about all. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm getting ready to get crazy here. I know what's going to happen. I see it. I want this path right here to just continue. So I'm using some of the Van Dyke Dark Sienna. Put in a little color. Go back to our little white and brown, and very gently, once again, just let it sort of graze across the top. I don't want a lot of color. Don't want a lot of color, just a little. There, something like so. All right. Now, you ready? You know Bobby, he likes big trees. So today, let's take some Van Dyke Brown, Dark Sienna. I'm just mixing them on the brush. And let's really get crazy. The black gesso allowed us to do the background very quickly. Here we go. Yep. There's one big monster. Let's give him a friend. You know me. I think everybody needs a friend. Even a tree, even an old tree deserves a friend. And all your trees don't have to be straight. I mean, look, trees are like people. They're different. You have trees that are big and strong and heavy and little skinny trees, and they're really like people. And each one is an individual. Make up little stories about your trees. It's okay if people look at you like you're a little crazy. Tell them you're a painter. Tell them you're an artist, and you can do this. You can make up stories because this is your world. And in your world, you can have any fantasy that you want. And with a little paint, a little practice, you can make that fantasy, okay, a reality. Maybe this old tree, maybe he's leaning over. He's leaning right out of the painting. That's okay, we can do that. We can do that. Let's take our knife. I'm gonna take a little titanium white, a little bit of our browns, both browns. But I don't want to overmix. See how the paint's marbled? Cut off a little roll of paint. Go up in here. And let's just touch right along the edge. There. And we'll just put in an indication of some highlights on some of these trees and sort of pull it round. Psst, like that. Okay? Now, over here, all I'm doing is just touching. The canvas is really pulling off what it wants. There we are. Just like a taxman does to my paycheck. He just pulls off what he wants from what's left, which isn't much. He lets me hold for a few days. Don't get to keep it, just get to hold it for a couple of days. There, same thing here. All you do is just touch. The canvas will pull off what it wants. Leave you with the remaining amount, that easy. Go back into a little bit of the dark color and just touch. Just sort of play this back and forth. And the paint is quite thick here. When this is dry, you can actually feel the bark on the tree. Actually feel it. And it makes for a wonderful effect on oil paintings. It's one of the things I like so much about oils. They have a thickness that you can put on there. I've seen some of the old paintings that, gosh, they must be 1/4 of an inch thick in places. I love that. Absolutely love it. Areas that are very thick, areas that are thin, areas that are basically just washes. Wonderful. Look at that. As I say, I've painted thousands of paintings and I still get excited about this. Absolutely, it's wonderful. There's our light. So it's going to hit the other side of this tree over here. There you go. And if you put a little too much highlight, you can go back with the dark or vice versa. There is no mistakes here. We have some happy accidents sometime, but we don't make any mistakes. There. All right. Now, let me find a liner brush. A number 2 script liner. I'm going to take paint thinner. Might as well get quite a bit. I'm going to put some branches on there. I want this paint to be thin like ink. Okay, let's put a few arms on our trees. I'm going to put some leaves on these so we don't have to get too detailed. Most of them is going to end up covered up. If you have enough paint thinner on your brush that you mix with the paint, this will literally just flow. It will just flow right across there. Okay, as I say, we're going to put leaves on there, so we really don't care about most of them. We're just looking for indications. Indications, that's all. A little more paint thinner. And over here, maybe there's some old arms hanging off this. He yells to make little noises. Steve's my son, we both do that. Maybe we'll talk old Steve into doing a show in this series. We've had such a fantastic response when he's worked with us in the past. Maybe we'll just talk that little rascal into doing a show. Little rascal, he's over six now, I think. And I think he's still growing. Calls me Shorty. But he is one dynamite painter. I know, that's just an old prejudiced daddy talking. But I think he's a fantastic painter. All right. Time to have some fun. We'll use this old 2-inch brush, it don't matter. We'll go right into that dark color we was using for the bottom. Let's put the indication of a few leaves on these trees. Okay? I'm just using the corner of the brush, and I'm just going to tap in some very basic little shapes. Now you see why I wasn't worried about the limbs. The few that show will be wonderful. The ones that don't, we don't care about anyway. Just the corner. You don't have to use the entire brush, just the corner. There we are. And we can go right up in here. You decide. You decide. Maybe his tree is tilted over. Maybe he's got some arms that are sticking out through here. Isn't it wonderful what you can do? Just a big old brush. You can do it. Take the same brush. I won't even change brushes. Go into a little sap green, some yellow, cad yellow, yellow ochre, Indian yellow here and there. Once in a while, I'm going to touch a little bit of the bright red. The bright red acts as a duller because red and green are opposites. So they make brown when they're mixed together. There we are. And that'll dull the color. And I don't want this as bright back in here. There. All right. Over in this old tree, just use the other corner. That's the reason they put two corners on the brush. Look at those leaves. See? See them? There they come. You just pop them in wherever you want them. Wherever you want them. All right. Just add more paint. Anytime the brush goes away, I'm just adding paint. There. Just bring them all together. But don't kill all the dark. Leave some of the dark show through. It's very important. You need to have those shadows in there. There. And dip the brush into the least little touch of paint thinner. As your paint begins to get thicker and thicker on the canvas, you need a thinner color to stick to it. Sometimes you have to add a little touch of paint thinner. Not much. Doesn't take much. It can get away from you in a heartbeat. Maybe I'll brighten those just a little bit to separate the two trees. See? That just snatches that tree right out in front. Sneaky, huh? We can do anything here. Any old thing. All right. And we can clean up his foots a little. Putting a few little things here and there. Shoot, maybe there's a little bush lives right down here. I don't know. I don't know. Take a little filbert brush, a little bit of brown. I'm going to put a little, what remains of a little fence right there. See? Maybe fell down. A little highlight color right across the top. Shoot. I think we can take our liner brush, sign this little rascal, and have a finished painting. I hope you've enjoyed this one. As I say, the black and the gray gesso mixed with a little clear will let you do things that are almost unreal. And you can do them very, very simply. Send me a photo of what you're doing. I'd love to see it. Until then, from all of us here, I'd like to wish you happy painting, and God bless, my friend.